Hello and welcome to the replay. Today I'm going to be talking about planners. If you're someone who has a lot of them and they haven't been effective, this is for you, so stay tuned. And hopefully my internet is not going to cut out on me like it did last time, but we actually have some lighting today that isn't above my head, so I'm looking at the camera today. So welcome. I'm Joanne Kroll. I am the Sensible Organizer, and planners are a big one for people. There's many reasons why you may have a lot of them kicking around that have just been kind of collecting dust because you haven't used them. And that can actually, affect our psyche as kind of like making us feel defeat, right? At times. I'm just putting the comments back on so I can make sure I see them. So what causes us to gravitate towards a new planner all the time, or, desperately trying to find new solutions? Well, there's this shiny object syndrome. People get bored, they get a planner, they're all excited to use it, and then it gets boring for them. That's one thing. A lot of times people are gravitated towards really pretty planners. I know a lot of people who that just makes them feel good. It's like, it's like those people that love office supplies and the different colored office supplies. It just makes them feel good, which is absolutely nothing wrong with that. However, the meat of the planner has to really fit with your habits. And really, oftentimes it's just this desperate need to get organized. So we go into planning mode, and we just, instead of just implementing things, we just keep planning and planning and planning. I'm not worried about putting anybody who has a planner out of business, and I'm not dissing anybody who has a planner. Oftentimes, people will create a planner based on what has happened in their life and what works for them, and it'll be an amazing planner, and they'll sell it, and they'll sell it really well, and it'll work for many, many people. But there's a lot of people out there that just haven't found the right one, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with you. This goes all down to what I always talk about: never start with the system. Always do your reduction and your evaluating and all of that before. So sometimes planners don't work for us because they're too restrictive. They're very detail orientated based on what someone thinks planning should be all about, which is fine. But if it doesn't work for you, it's never going to work for you. Sometimes it's just hard to get into that system and create that new habit. And if that's the case, and you think it's something that is going to work for you, try sticking it out. Stick it out for a month or 2 months and see what happens. I did this myself with the bullet journal. I don't use planners. Even when I used them when I was an accountant, they were very empty. And that's another thing I'll talk about in a minute. But I tried the bullet journal because a lot of people were asking me about it. And I found out that it really didn't work for me in the way that it was set up. And I'm not talking about like the people that make the pretty bullet journals with the artwork and the washi tape, which works really well for some people, especially if you're artistic and you just creative and you want to keep things flowing. But I was doing the straight bullet journal. It's bulletjournal.com if you've never heard of it. I was just doing just the basics of that. And I did find that I loved having an index and a list, but at the same time, I was just making lists, which is what I do. And I'll talk about that in a minute as well. So sometimes the systems are too complicated. Oftentimes what I hear from people is, well, I start writing in them and then I make a mistake and that throws them off. So letting that perfectionism get in the way, meaning, you're filling something out and you have to cross something out, and that can really throw a lot of people off. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with you if that's you. I was always the kid in school who, when I took notes in my notebook, if they started to get messy, I would go home and rewrite them. I've let go of that perfectionism over the years. I don't rewrite my lists, but I know a lot of people who do, and it gives them a level of comfort. So I think I mentioned this, trying to fit your system into, trying to fit your needs and the way you work into a system isn't always the best. It's definitely not the best way to approach grabbing a new planner. So I said I was going to talk about something later and I completely forgot. So if you're watching, can you remind me what I said I was going to talk about? I know I said about the bullet journal. I did the bullet journal for a good year. And I kind of used it in conjunction with my calendar. I never used the calendar part of it because I have my set way of calendars, but I tried to do it for other things. And, you know, it worked for me in the list sense, like I said, but the actual, if you look at the structure of it, it just didn't work for me, which was fine. But now what that allowed me to do was it helped me understand what type of person it may work for, and, you know, what type of personality, because the big thing is understanding what you've been doing and what portions of that work and what portions of that don't. And that will help you evaluate, you know, what you're going to move on to. Talked about planning versus action. I think that we think if we just keep buying more planners, one will finally stick and it will finally get organized. And in reality, we just need to implement and we just need to do. And some people, planning is the first place that they need to start. They need planning, you know, having that one place where they keep everything, you know, versus the calendar and the goals and the to-do list. And that's wonderful. But there's other people that aspect of all of it, they either get stuck in the rut of doing it or they feel the failure that, oh, I planned all this stuff out and then I didn't do it. So having it kind of all there physically to look at can be really stressful. So for myself, I simply use calendars when I do any kind of planning. I have everything on a calendar. I use kind of a hybrid of calendars. I've always used, and I'll put the links to these things. They're not affiliate links. I've always used cozy.com for my personal planning and my family planning and my business. But then once I started doing scheduling for clients online, I started using Acuity scheduling, which then needed to talk to Cozy and it wasn't. So I kind of switched over to Google Calendar because I can have everybody talk to everybody. So I still use the Cozy because I love the app. I don't love the Google Calendar app when I'm adding an event. It's not intuitive to me. It's very easy for me to add something. So an example of that is if I'm at the dentist and I want to just put in dentist, I use the Cozy app for that. And then if a client schedules, they're using Acuity. And then if somebody invites me to a meeting or to a calendar, they share a calendar with me, it's on Google Calendar. But I have all of those speaking to each other, so I don't have to enter everything in each place. So somebody schedules with Acuity, it goes to my Google Calendar, and it also mirrors to my Cozy. So depending on which calendar I'm looking at, they're all going to say the same thing, and vice versa. If I book something on my Google Calendar or on my Cozy, it will block it off of my Acuity. So if I have a dentist appointment on a specific day and somebody wants to book an appointment with me that day, they won't be able to because it'll block it off. And that's just simple, you know, making sure that everything's talking to each other. Using Acuity as an example, they have the ability to do that right inside the app, so it's not really convoluted. And yeah, so what else? No one's here to tell me what I said I was going to talk about, but I'll watch back and I'll put it in the comments and let you know. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you're watching this on the replay. Let me know if you're the person that has a lot of planners that are, you know, half filled out and just kind of sitting aside, not used. And you don't have to put it in comments. You can message me if you want to talk about that. But I would love to see who has the most. It's kind of like who has the most emails. I do have a lot of clients that have a lot, but it'll be interesting to see. And that's all I have for today. But I want to mention at the very end here, my little call to action. I have a quiz that you can take to help you determine your organizing style. And that's the link there. I'll actually put it in the comments as well, but this is mainly for the people on Periscope and Twitter who I think I can comment after the fact, you know, on the tweet, but we'll see. But if you take this quiz, you can see, I see people as either pilers, which is myself, stashers, or avoiders. And then also you can get, if you take it and you're an organized person, you're probably going to get purger, which I would get too, but I'm a piler. So I tend, when I take my own quiz, I come up as a piler, and that simply means that I'm visual and I like to have all my piles out. So that's all I have for you today. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next week. If you have any questions about organizing, whether it's about home, business, or life, shoot them my way and I will answer them on an upcoming broadcast. Have an awesome day.